was part of ELS the first 4 years. A small group did such an amazing job building this program, selling it to others and finding places to host them. When I was asked last year to take some videos, I was amazed at how much it had grown and progressed. This group is amazing. And now you're going to hear from Ronda and McCauley. Want to get up and speak? A little short intro video.
They've never seen it. They may be on the team, but they've never seen it because it's old.
Now entering the old world. You are now promoted to a peasant. Sit down. Sit down right there. No smiling.
This is
Sit.
before we had costumes.
It brought to my attention that you are all rebels. The contrary being subject to me, the king. I am the king. This is a monarchy. All rights that you have come from me. You won't believe this. You want to go to another land because you think you know what freedom is. You think you know what liberty is. It comes from the government. All of your rights to live and move and have your being and breathe on this earth come from the government. All of your property will be seized. All that I've even heard that you have a captain of a ship to take you to the other land. We will take that captain. We will find his family. We will find all of his possessions. And he will pay dearly.
You are now aboard the ship.
Slowly, slowly,
You're going to miss us.
That's what we all of you. This is my cue to
That's
go.
your cue.
This is my cue. This makes me laugh.
How long ago was that made?
Huh?
How long ago was that made?
14 years.
2012.
Yeah.
14 years. Wow. It's changed a lot.
Yeah.
That particular performance was either the second or third one.
Yeah, we had no costumes. You saw that. So we had,
They're wigs.
yeah, I'm going to talk about those too. First of all, I want to make sure that everybody signed in back there because we need, Rick, you can sign in later, but just make sure you do because this is a small group, very small group, and we need credit for everybody that's here.
Which name your dog now?
You need to,
Yeah.
you need
Put
to
engine
sign
on
the
there.
back or sign-in sheet.
Okay.
Not just be like-
Did you get Rick put engine on there for us, would you please?
I heard that, yes.
All right. Well, first thing I want to say is I'm glad all you guys are here because I feel really bad about what you started doing. So thank you for coming, Justin, and I'm going to wish you good luck in the election too. And, young people don't seem to understand that liberty is the right to choose their future. And so some actually believe that liberty is free and that they don't have to do anything about it or protect it. Vacation Liberty School teaches the future leaders of America to own their freedom. And so the purpose of Vacation Liberty School, and I'd probably say VLS, because Vacation Liberty School is a mouthful, so VLS. Our purpose, I'm going to read our mission, to develop the next generation of patriots, educating them on the values, the principles, and the Judeo-Christian foundation on which our country was created, and to instill in them the need to be diligent in keeping our God-given freedoms and liberties. So that's the mission we've been working under for all these years. And I think we do follow it pretty closely. And we promote timeless and incorruptible principles, not politics and not parties. We teach freedom. Takes a great deal of responsibility. It requires responsibility. We encourage campers to be a moral and educated and a vibrant force to protect of their freedom. We teach campers that our founders come from all types, all levels, all socioeconomic groups, and not one size fit all. And so we also say our main goals. We only have 4 goals. And our first goal is to emphasize the fact that we have a Judeo-Christian based culture. No matter what these kids have heard or read, we are a Judeo-Christian based culture in the United States. And second of all, we want to introduce them to the founding fathers and mothers and try to make them understand what difficulty they went through and how brilliant they actually were. And the third, we want to ensure that they are proud to be that American that knows what freedom really means and is ready to defend it. And finally, our fourth goal, which is, this is the first year we've ever reached it, is to provide a foundation for other groups to initiate this program. This is the first time we've ever met this. And so, to tell you that photograph that you saw on the, oh, you're showing pictures, the photograph you saw with the 250, that was from Patriot Academy. We were invited down to Comfort, Texas by Rick Green to come to the Patriot Academy and show them what we had to offer. And we spent a week there with 47 kids. It was interesting, and I really think that they liked it. They're going to use some of it, and we learned a lot, and we really did. And the president of the Sons of the American Revolution in Louisiana, the state president, presented it to his chapters after he came to Vacation Liberty School and saw what we did, and presented to his chapters, and he had 3 chapters that were interested. So he came as George Washington, and he left as a promoter of Vacation Liberty School. So Jeannie is another one of our members of the team. She and I are going to go to Baton Rouge this summer and spend a week down there and help him set up his camp. And then in addition, we have 3 other areas that are forming. One is outside of Houston, one is in Robertson County, and one is in North Texas, and I can't tell you the name of the city right now. They're just starting. So these people are going to premiere all in 2026. So we've accomplished our goal, and it's kind of exciting. All these people that you see here, except you, have all made this happen. So we've got a good group. And over the decade is a small group of dedicated patriots that discovered history wasn't being taught in the public schools. They weren't teaching these kids how to be a proud American. They were not teaching them what miraculous people created this country and why we are in America. Why in America we are exceptional. So we decided that we could help out with this, a group of us, and we began with $100 seed money, and that's how we got started, and put together, after working a year, we put together what we thought was a good camp. And it was a compilation of the kids that we had in the first camp were friends and neighbors and relatives and our own kids and anybody we could find on the street that would try this new idea. And there were 14 of them. And that's how we got started. And every wig and every prop and every costume came out of somebody's attic or somebody's basement. And so this is where I'm going to talk about a little bit. We didn't have any money in, we still don't have an income. We work on solid donation. And I presented, Bill and I went to talk to James and Charles Avery. You guys know the Averys? And these are the first people we ever approached for any help. And of course James said, James is not, he was not for this.
Laughed at us.
Oh, he laughed at us. But Charles said, I believe in what you're doing. I will help you. And he wrote a check. And it was for hundreds of dollars. And I read it and I said, oh my gosh, what do you want me to spend this on? He said, the first thing I want you to do is buy that king a new wig. Because he had seen that was somebody's white hair wig that came out. So that's what I did. With the first money that was ever donated, I bought the king a new wig. So that's how we got started. So every year since we started this program with we've improved our speakers and our programs and our activities, and our enrollment has increased. So last year we had 3 camps. Well, for the past 3 or 4 years, we've had 3 camps, 40 to 45 kids in each. And what started off as 12 strange young people working under a ragtag group of instructors has turned into what we offer now. And I say ragtag because there was nothing about us that was the same. Those people, those of us who started it, there was an engineer, there was a Marine, a woman Marine, there was a nurse, there was a Navy person. I'm a technical trainer and safety coordinator for the wafer fab. There was a salesman. There was one of everything.
A
We even
teacher?
had one teacher.
Yeah, teacher
One
and
teacher,
a software engineer.
RC, yeah. But so we had a little bit of everything. We put all this stuff together. And so now, after all these years, the kids that started off, we were laughing at what you saw. The boy that's like this is now this tall. But these kids have come through the camp, and now they come back as volunteers to help us present. And it's just fabulous, fabulous. So I want to impress you, everybody here except you know, the list of our speakers, but first I want to talk about the list of speakers. Kevin Roberts is now the president of Heritage Action. He was the president of TPPF, Texas Public Policy Foundation, and he has his doctorate in American history. So he came to Vacation Liberty School, and every time I've listened to him, it's been amazing. I learned so much. He was an absolute miraculous speaker, and he has all this information, and he's a nice man. So he's one of the best. Jeff Rose was the former Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court. He came and talked about the Constitution. And he gave me a copy of his presentation so I could get better at it, he thought. And I have. Tom Maynard is still on the school board. He came and did an entire presentation as James Madison. He came in as James Madison and left as James Madison. It was fabulous. We've had judges, Will Ward. That you, Rick, turn your phone off. Will Ward, Sarah Burkmiller, and Billy Ray Stubblefield have all come and spoke to the kids. Even last year we had Billy Ray, what was the year before? Billy Ray was the judge in one of our skits. So he's done speaking and he's been an actor. It's been fabulous.
He led us through a complete mock trial.
Yeah, mock trial. Justice of the Peace, Edna Stout. We did an entire group, a whole week on immigration. And we put these kids through the immigration test, which 60% of them passed. 60%. And then we did some swearing in. She swore the kids in. It was just fabulous. County Commissioner Cynthia Long has a program on a budgeting system for a local community. She works with them, and the kids all respond. Chris Ann Hall is a constitutional lawyer and college instructor, and she came and did probably a 2-hour presentation for us. Mark Collins is a professional George Washington reenactor. He works for PBS.
He's the guy on the right in the picture.
Oh, is he? Right there? Yeah. Oh, and he is in movies. He's in movies. Matt Long is a professional Benjamin Franklin, and he's president of the Fredericksburg Tea Party. And Matt Long did the very first VLS. He did it in Fredericksburg. And we came down and we said, "This is fabulous, Matt. When you do it next year, we'll help you." And he said, "I will never do this again. It's too hard." And so we said, "Okay, if we take it up to Georgetown, will you come up and help us?" And he said, "Yeah, I would." He's been to every single Vacation Liberty school since we started. Every single one. And so he's good bud. The Central Texas chapters, mainly the Patrick Henry chapter, are the SAR guys that come. They have come to every single Vacation Liberty school performance since we started 12 years also. So you get some good, loyal people. And finally, the president of the SAR in Texas gave a presentation this past year, and as George Washington, he is an author of a couple of books, and he is an expert on George Washington. So he was good, and he liked what we did. Our VLS methods and messages. We want to strive, or we do strive to bring learning through fun, or with fun. And so this is how we've worked our whole program. We don't want it to be like a school, and we found that a lot of times we've set it up like a class. that's not what we want, so we accommodate that. We have taught these kids why America was created, the sacrifices made by our founding fathers and mothers, why it's necessary to know your governing documents so you can use them, and finally, how to have fun and learn at the same time. We've tried that. So I've been given an hour to speak, and an hour allows me to exercise some abbreviated tactics, and I don't know how I'm going to do it with this group, but I'm going to take one of our activities and I'm going to put you in the classroom. So all of you now are 7 to 12-year-olds, and we are going to, well, first of all, let me tell you about how we start our day. That'll be good. We start our day with a prayer, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Star Spangled Banner every day. And then we, of course, we have daily activities, we have snacks, we have things like that. And Monday, we began, you saw Monday on this last one where we didn't have any costumes, we didn't have any props, we didn't have anything like that, but now we do. And Monday begins with the campers being taken from Tyrannical King in England, being put on a boat, sent across the Pacific Ocean, and deposited in the New World. That's what happens. So we do that, and after that we go through the organization and the structure and how the week is going to progress, so they can be comfortable in all the things that they do. Sometimes it's a little difficult, a little chaotic, but we need to teach them what they need to know so we can finish the week. And then we introduce them to the 4 pillars. So our teachings are based on the tenets of the 4 pillars, which I have right here, and I'm going to talk about in just a minute. And you guys should all know this already, but that's okay. The 4 Pillars of Freedom is established by Paul, and I always have trouble with Scotian, in his book, How to Save the Constitution. And it was published, and it was written, and it was published on Constitution Day, which is...
September
19.
17. You guys need to go to the VLS. All the kids know that. It's September 17th. And this book was published in 2019. And we also reference the 5,000-Year Leap. And this is also a book and this one is by his father. And if I were to tell you, if you haven't read it, you need to. And it has, you have the pamphlet there, it has the 28 Principles of Liberty. So this is a fabulous book. You'll understand so much more after you read this. So I highly recommend, everybody here has read it, highly recommend you read it. So that's what we use for our basis. And you now are 7 years old, 7 to 12 years old. And we are going to talk about the 4 pillars. So who knows what a pillar is? With one person. Rick.
Big column,
A big column. Yeah. What's it made from? Do you know?
usually stone.
Usually stone. Anybody else? A pillar? No, you don't.
Marble, granite.
Marble, granite, yeah. Well, what does a pillar do? What is it used for?
Hold something up,
It holds something up. Give me an example.
like a porch or something.
It holds up a porch. What else does it hold up?
Buildings.
It holds up a building. What about a railroad track? A bridge?
Bridges.
A bridge?
Of sorts.
How about this thing? What is this? Is this a pillar? This could be a pillar, right? Right? Okay, so how about, could these be pillars? These two things that I'm standing on holding me up?
Yeah.
So a pillar can be made of anything, right? A pillar can be all kinds of stuff. It can be wood, it can be metal, it can be anything. So what if one of the legs or one of the pillars was weak? What would happen to the structure? Well, what does it hold? It holds anything on the top of it. And if one of the pillars were weak, what would happen?
And it wouldn't stand.
The structures would lean, or they would not. What would happen if 2 of them weren't strong?
It might fall down.
The structure would crumble. Exactly, it would crumble. And so, 4 pillars of freedom are a unit. So each one of these, we're going to talk about each one of these units, and they work together to be successful. Okay, the first one is, oh, I got that fly. The first one is a moral code universally taught and voluntarily practiced. The Bible is the basis for America's moral code. And in America, the Bible is the basis. So that's what I have here. This is the basis. Okay, this is the Bible that is the basis. Now remember, you're 7 years old. Anybody know what this is? Rick.
Yeah, it's a compass.
It's a compass. And what does a compass do?
It points north.
How many times does it point north?
Well, it points to magnetic north. Well,
You're 7 years old.
You know
Well, yes, and I was in an airplane at 7 years old with a compass on the dash.
Points north.
It always points north. It doesn't point to your best friend or anything like that. So the Bible is like a compass. It will always point you in the right direction.
There you go.
So you need to keep that in mind. Okay, that's the first pillar. So pillar number 1 is what? Bible. Bible. All right, pillar number 2 is a written set of governing principles the people have agreed to honor, the Constitution and all laws in accordance to serve America. So the second pillar is Constitution. So the first pillar is
The Bible.
Bible, the second pillar is Constitution. Constitution. Now, the reason that they wrote this down, excuse me, is because in Britain, they didn't have written like this. The Parliament could come in and make a decision on Tuesday about something, and the same thing come in on Thursday, they could make another decision, make a different decision. So this was to make sure that the governing principles were honored here, and the American people always knew what was going to happen, basically. And they were all treated the same. Everybody was treated the same. And that's why it's all written down. So let me ask you, do you think this piece of paper ever has a bad day and you just can't come to work? No? No?
No, but
How about, do you think this piece of paper ever cares about who I voted for? Probably not. What about this piece of paper? Do you think this piece of paper knows what color I am? No? Let me ask you one more question. You think this piece of paper forgets what it said last year?
That's why it's written
it's
down.
still there.
Why it's written down, it's always the same. It applies to everybody exactly the same. So, this is second pillar of pillar of freedom. First pillar is the Bible. Second period is the Constitution. This one, the third pillar, the economic system where property rights, sound money, and freedom to try, buy, sell, fail are protected. This is capitalism. So the first pillar of freedom is Bible. Second pillar, Constitution. Third pillar, economic freedom, capitalism. Exactly. So economic freedom is the opportunity to buy and sell and try. How many of you like to try things? Okay, Rick always answers. Rick, what do you like to try?
Getting a new dog.
You already did that. You achieved that.
Well, yes, but we'll see whether we get the dog part where he's supposed to be. But
You'll
I
have
like
to
to
build it
go
on
to places.
the engine.
I like to go to places.
Okay, I like to ride roller coasters. I don't like wooden roller coasters. I like the
Yeah.
metal ones. Okay, so Jeff and I are on the same baseball team. So what's a baseball team? What's the goal of a baseball team?
Score runs, win.
Score runs, win. What else? Hit the ball, get on base, all those things. All right, so in America, Rick and I are on the same team. I'm sorry, Jeff and I are on the same team. Jeff's first one up at bat, swings it, hits it so well, he goes to second base. He didn't even stop at first base. My turn, I'm next. So I swing and I miss, and I swing and I miss, and I swing and I strike out. So I leave, I have to leave, and my coach going to say, okay, you didn't run, you didn't score, you didn't hit the ball, you failed, you're out of here. Is he going to say that?
Probably not.
Probably
I
not.
want you to say, well, why did teach you how to do things?
He's probably going to say, I'm hoping he'll say, you're going to get another try. We're putting you in the back, but you're going to get another try when it's your turn. This is what I want you to do a little better. So that's try, fail, and try again. That's American philosophy. So that is The opportunity to buy and sell, again, goes in with fail. So, we've got the first pillar, Bible. Second pillar, Constitution. Third pillar, capitalism. And the fourth pillar is a devotion among people to help the nation succeed by willingness to work and obey the law, justice, and virtue. So this is, in a nutshell, this is us agreeing to what we just talked about. Willingness to work and obey the laws and follow the rules and to educate the rest of the people on the opportunities that we have in this country. So those are the 4 pillars of freedom. All right, so any questions about the 4 pillars of freedom? No? Okay, so we're back into our meeting. You're no longer 7 years old. Additionally, on Monday, we demonstrate concepts such as natural law, and we play games. Colonial kids play marbles and jacks and pick up sticks and that kind of thing. On Tuesday, Declaration of Independence is the overall theme. So we have cameos from Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Banneker, and Sam Adams. The Tax Act and the Boston Tea Party we also addressed. We planned on this, we tried this, it works. We're going to throw tea bags in the water this time. And there's going to be a skit of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. And there's 5 people involved in this. And while this activity is going on, these people are reading what is going through their mind while they're signing the Declaration of Independence, or what's going on at the time. So Ben Franklin's going to be in this, and so you probably know that he's going to say, when he's asked, he's going to say, it's a republic if we can keep it. So this is the overall theme of what we're going to do. Well, while this is going on, the kids are going to be signing with feather pens their own Declaration of Independence. At the bottom, we're going to put all their names. And these are going to hang up on the wall, so when they come in every day, they're going to be reminded that they signed the Declaration of Independence. And that is Tuesday. And Wednesday is Constitution Day. So we have Ethan Allen and his wife. Ethan Allen's going to talk about his adventures up at Ticonderoga, and his wife is going to talk about the woman's side of what they do and how they do it, food and medicine and that kind of thing. And we're going to talk about the difference between a republic and a democracy. And I don't know that I can do this with so few people. The centralized and decentralized government. I don't know. No.
Why don't we all imagine a room full of 45 kids and go ahead and do it?
Room full of 45 kids. I will go through the verbal part of it, okay? So the verbal part is, you pick one person. Oh, there's a centralized and decentralized person in charge, and one person is going to be Mr. Average, so I will pick you as Mr. Average, we'll say. And the centralized leader tells you how to get from your seat back to the place that I marked on the floor. So you have to stand up and turn right, take 5 steps, and turn around and do all these things. And then you come back. So then, when you're back in your seat, then I have everybody, all 45 kids, and I give them the same exact directions, because that's centralized government. And, of course, they run into each other, they came through the chairs, and it's a big mob, and it's a big mess, and nobody gets where they're supposed to go. So we bring them all back, and we say, what'd you do wrong? And they say, well, we did this. So then the decentralized person comes up and says, okay, everybody stand up and walk back to that line. So everybody stands up and walks back to that line. No chaos, no anything like that. And the questions are, why did that work? And what do you like better? And was it easy? And it took, how much time did it take? It took less time. So that is probably the best. And he's looking at his watch when I say time. That's the best example of centralized and decentralized government I have ever worked with the kids, and they actually understood it. They actually did understand it. Let me see what the questions are here. You can be excused if you'd like. Okay. Why did it work better this time? So they have to say, why did it work better? Because the fact is, when this starts, I say that usually it's a socialized or communist government that tells people what they can eat, where they can live, what they do, how they, all these kinds of things. And so that just hopefully makes them aware of that. And then we talk about there's a spy ring. And the spy ring is the Culver spy ring, which Washington owned and operated and ran. And we like to do this because I think it explains to them something different than James Bond. When they think spies, they think magic and they think big pieces of equipment and special kinds of stuff. Well, these people were communists. They were mothers and fathers and kids. They were everyday citizens. So that's what's important, that they know that the people that created this and did all this work, just like you and me. The governing documents are very difficult for kids, difficult for adults to understand, but they're difficult for kids to understand. So one of the things that I do, which I'm trying to get somebody else to do as well, is teach them parts of the government documents that they need to know. And one is the Bill of Rights. So the Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, and it was added because the people in the colonies thought it was absolutely necessary. And the fact, from 1 to 10, the most important is number 1, and it's ranked down to the lesser importance. And there were people like Sam Adams, who happened to be the chairman of the Sons of Liberty, who refused to sign the Constitution until it had the Bill of Rights on it. So they had people send in what they thought should be added. They had lots and lots of entries, and I guess Madison just picked the ones he thought was the best. And so you have 10 of them. And so we'll go through these 10. And by Friday, hopefully, every Vacation Liberty School kid knows the 10 amendments to the Constitution. So I'm going to show them to you. I'm going to show them to Kim, because you guys all know. But I'm going to show them to you, because this is what I'm getting paid for. Right, Kathy?
Bet.
Okay. The First Amendment. And you put up your one finger. Put one finger, First Amendment. The First Amendment is the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, and the freedom to gather. I don't usually go into go after. They don't understand how to redress the government, so I don't usually do that. But those are the big ones on the first. So, First Amendment to the Constitution, freedom of
Speech. The press.
Press and gather.
And the Second Amendment to the Constitution,
The right to
Right
bear
to
arms.
right to bear arms. And is the right to bear arms, what exactly does that mean? And so I get lots of stuff, but okay, Rick. You're like George. George knows. I tell George, don't answer all the questions. He says, but I know the answer.
Yeah, I know, I'll not be a George.
Okay, Rick.
I've been to Patriot Academy and been through some of their things. The Second Amendment is our God-given right to bear and own arms to defend ourselves, our neighbors, against all enemies, including governments, if they become enemies of the people.
Threatening. They've come threatening. And so, one example is when Mama Bear is there and her cub is here and you're over there and she thinks you're going to do something to her cub, does she have a right to come over and bite you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she does. That is a natural instinct, and she is allowed to do that. So that's the right to bear arms. So the third Amendment, 3. And I do it this way only because it was hard for me to figure out a way. Third Amendment is two's company and three's a crowd.
Okay.
So two's company and three's a crowd, because they didn't want soldiers to live in their houses. The British sent the soldiers over. They had no forts. They had no place to keep them. So they forced them in with other people, forced them in with the colonists. And so they didn't like that at all. Now, some of the loyalists actually thought it was an honor to have some of the soldiers living with them because they were royal. But most of the colonists didn't like that. It was difficult for them to afford, difficult for them to accommodate, and the soldiers took advantage of the families. So the first 3 amendments are the most important things to the colonists. So the first one is freedom of
Religion.
Speech.
Press.
Press.
Yeah.
Gather. Oh,
Right to bear arms.
right to bear arms.
Two's company, three's a
Three's a
crowd.
crowd. What's that? What? Nobody Nobody lives in your house but you. So no soldiers in your house. Fourth Amendment. Don't grab my stuff. You can't come in and grab my stuff. You have to have a warrant. You can't come in and take people's property. You can't take their papers. You can't search their house unless you have a warrant, which means I'm coming to your house. This is what I'm looking for, and this is the only thing I'm going to have or be allowed to take. Because the soldiers would come in and take what they wanted, basically. Okay, so Fifth Amendment.
Right to remain silent.
Right to remain silent. So you don't have to incriminate yourself. So I will say, this was during Revolution, I saw you talking to that ruffian, that Sam Adams. What were you talking about? There you go. You do not have to incriminate yourself. Okay, Sixth Amendment. Six. You're not going to do it. Sixth Amendment. Right to a speedy trial. This is speedy trial. And so I have a funny to tell you. This every time I do this, we were going over a review, and it was on like the last day, and the kids could not get what 6 was. And they said, give me a hint. I said, okay, time. And this kid jumps out of his chair, he said, 917. So every time I get to the Sixth Amendment, I always think it's 917. But that's what? Speedy trial. What they did was they sent a lot of the colonists to England to be tried. And very frankly, when you got to England, you didn't have the money to get back. Oh well, because they weren't going to pay for you to send you back. Or they would put you in confinement or jail and forget about what they were supposed to be doing. So this was important to the colonists. You were entitled to a speedy trial. Also entitled to, oh no, this is the next one. Seventh Amendment. This is a hard one. Seventh Amendment is $20 and 2 people, you can have a civil trial. Now, we learned that $20 is not very much today, but guess what? It's about $700 today. $20 back then. So we got 2 people, $20, you can have a civil trial. Eighth Amendment.
No cruel and unusual punishment.
Thank you, Rick George. No cruel and unusual punishment. That's right. No high bail, no keeping you in jail for too long, none of those things. Okay, so we're going to do a real quick review. 1.
Religion, speech, press, assembly.
Second Amendment.
Right to bear arms. Trees coming, trees proud.
Okay, now what's that mean? No soldiers.
No soldiers in the house.
4.
Can't take my stuff. Unreasonable suit.
Yeah.
Right to bear arms.
Speedy trial.
Speedy trial.
Speedy trial. 917. 8.
Cruel and
No
unusual.
rule and unusual.
Okay, now we get to 9. 9 is this. Anything that's written in the Constitution is the government's right. Anything written in the Constitution is the government's right. Okay? And 10, you can push the government back, because if it's not... I always think that they wrote the 10th Amendment after they were sitting around. They said, well, you know, just in case we've missed something, we better add one more. If it's not written in the Constitution, it's the right of the person or the state. That right belongs to me or my state. Okay? So 9th Amendment says if it's written in the Constitution, it belongs to the government, the right. 10th Amendment said if it's not, it belongs to us. So those are the 10 amendments to the Constitution. Do I need to go over them one more time?
No.
No, we're good. Okay.
A lot of them show up as the indictments in the Declaration of Independence. The indictments of King George.
Oh, yeah.
All the things he
Yeah.
belonged to us. That's why the state colonies wanted it codified in the Bill of Rights.
Yep.
Nobody's going to be able to do that to us again, ever again.
Yep. See, and I go into it a little deeper when there's more than one person. But if there's not, well. Anyway, so that'll give them an idea of what is written in the Constitution that applies to them. And on Thursday, we do the third pillar, and it's economic freedom. freedom and capitalism. And Frost Bank comes in and,
Talks about.
yeah, they do. Kathy, would you do me a favor and go out and tell Bill, just alert him, please? Frost Bank comes in and they talk about the money system, and it starts off with bartering. They have rocks and shells and beads and all the things that the kids can touch, and they talk about how money has progressed to coins and paper. And then we also have created a game, a barter game, you saw part of it back there, and we divide the kids into 3 groups. We have the New England colonies, the middle colonies, and southern colonies, and they are given the opportunity to trade what that group is the most prosperous at or for. And obviously New England colonies like fur and lumber, and the middle colonies is the breadbasket, so there's this food, and the southern colonies are the cash crops. So we have then figure out what it takes for the southern colonies to get fur, and what it takes to build a ship, and those kinds of things. So that's what part of Thursday's about. And then on Friday, the men from the Patrick chapter come, and they come in full regalia. They are eye candy. They come in full regalia with the costumes, with the swords, with the hats, with the feathers, with all the stuff. And they have 2 programs. One is they do the flag program from the Vikings all the way up through England into the 50 stars we have now. And he can display as many as 50 flags, but he usually cuts it down to about 30. But it's all color, and the kids love it, and it's great. The other thing they do is a program with muskets and cannons. And they bring the muskets and cannons that were used during the Revolutionary times, and they demonstrate them, and kids love music, they love color, and they love noise.
Noise!
Yeah, he doesn't know that, but they love noise. We'll tell you about noise in a minute. And we also do we do a monumental spread there. This is the monumental, and it was built in 1820 outside Plymouth, Massachusetts. And it's the National Monument Foundation, I get it, and it talks about each one of these people is faith, law, liberty, morality, and education. So these are things that need to be addressed by us to keep our freedom, to keep it things. And we take these individually, and we have one person represent each one of those philosophies. And they create this statue. And by the way, it's the largest statue in the United States. It's 81 feet tall. 81 feet. That's amazing. And the virtue theme of the day, again, like I said, is virtue. And Reverend John Peter Mullenberg gives a dynamic church conclusion. And I want to explain a little bit to you. When the various regiments of the Continental Army, and the First National Army of the original 13 colonies are discussed, regiments such as the 1st Rhode Island and any of the various Virginia regiments, and ones that made up Greene's famous division immediately come to mind. However, what history often leaves out is the existence of the Black Robe Regiment that did not necessarily fight in the front lines. The Black Robe Regiment was a collection of clergymen soldiers who not only supported Americans' independence from Britain, but also preached the virtues and liberty and freedom. Though the Black Robe Patriot Regiment of clergymen soldiers conjures up images of a column of warrior preachers fighting the British on the front lines, that image is not accurate, or not exactly accurate anyway. These preachers did not always use muskets or cannons to fight the British. On the front lines, instead, the Black Robe Patriot was a collection of civilian clergymen who used their gifts of word and public speaking to sway the civilians toward the revolutionaries' causes. So it seems that even though these men did not necessarily go to arms against the British, their support was vital to the Patriots. Clergymen provided sanction for the cause of independence as well as formal support for the military effort. Some clergymen considered to be part of the Black Robe regiment actually fought in the American Revolution. There were some who used their words and influence along with their muskets and knives. A prime example of this was Peter Muhlenberg. He was a Lutheran minister who was commissioned to rise and lead the 8th Virginia Regiment of the Continental Army. It is said that he was personally asked by George Washington late in 1775 to do this. Muhlenberg used the pulpit to sway his congregation toward the revolution and let them know of his new position as colonel. It was a Sunday morning early in 1776 in the church where Pastor John Peter Muhlenberg preached. It was a regular service for his congregation. Instead of his regular sermon, Pastor Muhlenberg had something entirely extraordinary in mind.
Good morning. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pick up that which is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. In the language of the Holy Writ, there is a time for all things, a time to preach, a time to pray, but those times have passed away. This is a time to fight, and that time has now come. Who among you is with me?
Drums played outside the church. Men in the congregation rose, kissed their wives and children goodbye, and followed Muhlenberg to the back of the church to enlist. On that day, 300 men from his church stood up and joined John Peter Muhlenberg. They became the 8th Virginia Brigade fighting for liberty.